Hi, I'm Psiman and welcome to vlog number 38. Today I'm going to give you a bit of an explanation why I haven't been making any YouTube videos for the last couple of weeks. I've got a few thank yous to say, and I'll tell you a little bit about some gaming I've been doing recently and some upcoming videos that are in the pipe. Okay, so let's get started with those thank yous, and I'd like to say a big thanks to everyone who left such nice comments and support regarding my two sick cats. Well, I can tell you that this week they are reasonably well, or as well as I could hope them to be. To be honest, if I didn't know they were sick, if I didn't know poor little Bella had cancer and little Berman chronic kidney disease, I wouldn't think there was anything wrong with them. They're both playing around and being normal cats, just like they were before I knew they were sick. So I'm hoping they're going to be around for a lot longer, but they're both going to be going to the vet in the next few weeks. It'll be 3 months since Bella's lumpectomy, or whatever you call it, where she had one of her breasts removed, and well, obviously not just for fun, the tumour that she had there as well. And Berman, it's been a month since the tests that diagnosed him as having chronic kidney disease, so he's going to have a follow-up blood test this week actually. So I know a few of you have got cats and you like to know what they've been up to, so I'll keep you filled in on the cats in the near future. So, well, why haven't I been putting up videos recently? I know I stated not so long ago that it was my desire, my plan to grow this channel and, well, you need content to attract subscribers, and I've been pretty lazy the last 2 weeks or more. Well, there was a couple of good reasons for that. The first of which was because my wife decided to take a week off work, and a kind of impromptu thing, and then we decided, well, rather than sitting around here, let's go on a bit of a road trip. And we chose to go to Lincolnshire to visit a couple of market towns up that way and see the Lincolnshire Wolds, because it's a possible place that we might move to in the near future. It's kind of our plan this year to have a look around the country and find a suitable place for us to settle down, because as many of you will know, we've recently moved back from being overseas for many years really. We spent the best part of 6 years in China all told. I mean 4 years and then, oh no, 3.5 years, then 2 years at a separate time. Then we were in the UAE for about 3.5 years. So we've both decided it's time to settle down and find a nice place to live. And although we like living here on the south coast of the UK, we're in Portsmouth at the moment, and before that we were in Bournemouth and Christchurch, all really nice places to live, but a bit out of our price range really for what we'd like to have from a home. For example, the current place we're living here is a 3-bed terraced house, and it would set us back a minimum of £250,000 to buy one of these. And to be honest, for what you can get elsewhere in the country, that doesn't seem like a particularly good bargain when there's no real reason for us to be here. It's not because of family. Work can be found in other places in the country. We don't have to worry about school catchment areas because we don't have any children and we're not planning to have any. So we're free to look around the country and find somewhere that's better value. And as I said, we travelled to Lincolnshire, and it's a beautiful county that I'd never been to before. The Lincolnshire Wolds is a lovely part of the country, and the market towns that we visited, Louth in particular, which is I think about 20 miles south of Grimsby, or 20 minutes south of Grimsby. So we didn't go to Grimsby, but we kind of went around the Wolds, and that town in particular is really nice. It's a small market town, but for what you can get there compared to in the south of England is amazing. It's sort of half the price. So for 250,000, which we can't really afford to spend anyway, but say for example if we could, we would be able to buy a decent 4-bedroom detached house with a driveway out the front and a big garden out the back. Whereas here it would be a 3-bedroom mid-terraced house, and the 4-bedroom house obviously would be a lot bigger as well. So yeah, there's a lot going for moving, and I must say I was really taken with this place, and the fact that my wife's sister is planning to move with her husband to that area as well. That makes it a little bit more attractive as well, because at least we'd know somebody up there. But yeah, I mean, it's just one place. As I said, this year we're planning to visit other parts of the country. So I know from watching videos of many of my subscribers that a lot of you live in the UK, and from your accents, I'm pretty sure you're spread around the country quite a lot. So let me know if there are any villages, not too small, don't want to live somewhere too rural, but a village with facilities, you know, a couple of pubs and a place to go shopping, that's big enough, or a nice market town. Not too interested in living in a city. My wife and I both like somewhere a little bit quieter. So if you know somewhere that's, you know, affordable, similar to, as I said, with Lincolnshire, let me know, and maybe I'll come to that part of the country and have a look, and who knows, I could be living there in the next 12 months. So yes, that's one of the reasons why the road trip took more than a week out of my YouTube time. But then when we returned here, a good friend of ours who we lived next door to in the UAE decided to come and visit. Now, he's not a UAE local, he's British like we are, and lives in Middlesbrough. And he moved back to the UK a couple of months before we did. And he decided to come and visit us here, and it was really cool to catch up with him. He's very similar to me in terms of the things that he likes. He loves video gaming, he loves movies, and he's more into music than I am, but you know, there's a lot of common ground, and it was quite clear from when we first met that we were going to be good friends. So I'm really happy to have made that friendship, and of course when a good friend comes to visit, it's always a great experience. And it was made even better by a couple of things that we did, particularly one of them. We went out to a local pub or bar to play board games. And this is something I'd never done before. I know around the country there are many of these board game cafes or board game bars, and they've got one here in Portsmouth in Southsea, a place called, I'm not even sure what it's called. I think it's called the Board Game Lounge, but of course I will put the name of it up here. And it's a fantastic place. I mean, I'm not really into board games that much. Of course, I've played a lot of the most famous and simple things like Monopoly, Cluedo, Trivial Pursuit, and a few others. But this time, going here with hundreds of board games to choose from, it was my wife and I and my good friend, or our good friend from Middlesbrough. We decided to check out a couple of quite well-known games, but ones that none of us had played. The first of those, and the third of them, because we played two variants of the same game, was Ticket to Ride. And this is a fantastic little game. I never would have thought I'd want to play a game that's about being a rail magnate or tycoon, but it's a kind of strategy game where you have to take ownership of tracks across, well, the United States or North America as it was for the first one we played, and then for Europe with the second version. And it's a very simple game in many respects, because each turn you've got choices to either claim tracks from the pool of train carriages that you have, or you can pick up cards, ticket cards, which have routes on them. And if you've got that route at the end of the game, you get those points. But if you're holding a ticket and you don't own a way from that one city to another, then you lose those points. And obviously the longer the route, the more points that you can get for it. And obviously the other thing you can do on your turn is pick up cards from the deck, which the more coloured train carriages that you get, the more routes that you can claim. So I think it's anything from 1 train carriage to 6 train carriages, or I think 8 on the second version that we played. I might not be making it sound as if it's a great game, but all 3 of us had a blast playing both versions of the game, and it's something that I think I might well pick up a copy for home. And it's something that my little niece, who's into trains, she's only 6 at the moment, but I'm thinking when she's a little bit older, when she's 8, I think she might be getting a copy of that for her birthday, because I'm sure she would absolutely love it. So those were the 2 games that bookended the session. We were there for about 6 hours. In the middle, we played a game called Catan, which I'd never heard of, and I could kind of gather it's quite a popular game by the different versions they had of it. I saw a Game of Thrones edition, a Star Trek edition, there was something else as well that slipped my mind, but we decided to play just the basic edition of Catan, and this is it's kind of a civilization strategy game, quite simple in scope and size. You have a board of hexagons, and on it you can place towns and roads and gather resources from them, and the more towns that you have, the more resources that you have, you can gain victory points. And the idea is to, at least in the version we played of it, which I think was a simple version of the game, you had to get 10 victory points and then you win the game. We didn't enjoy it as much as Ticket to Ride, but I think it's because we didn't fully understand the strategy of how to play the game on our first go, even though they had really nice staff there who spent time showing us the game and teaching us how to play them. I think on a second playing, we would have all been much better at it and had a better understanding of where to place our first settlements at the beginning of the game, and we would have understood better how important the resources are. So I will definitely play that again if I ever visit the board game lounge. Well, I'm pretty sure I will. As I said, we all enjoyed it. So great place. They serve food and beer, and it makes for a wonderful afternoon and a fantastic place to visit. So that was, I think, the Board Game Lounge, and it's on Albert Street in Southsea in Portsmouth. The second place that we went to, and that was the next day, was somewhere that my wife had found looking on, I think it was Facebook, or she'd stumbled across the website and thought that my friend and I would both be interested in it because it's a retro gaming place called Game Over. And it's a underground arcade of sorts. You pay a fee. I think we paid £5 each for 2 hours. We're unlimited play, and we were very excited. My wife not so much. In fact, not at all really. She'd kind of had her arm twisted into going, but she does like a few games, but not very much. But I have to admit, the whole experience was quite disappointing when compared to the place we'd been to the day before. This was, it reminded me of a lot of the internet cafes I used to visit when living in China. Very dingy, lots of little booths with low-grade PCs and poor quality monitors. And that's what the majority of this place was like. They had quite a lot of systems, although I was hoping to play a bit of PC Engine, but they didn't seem to have one of those. A lot of the familiar sort of things that you'd get in this country, your Master System, Mega Drive, Super Nintendo, they had Ataris there, but they also had the clone systems as well. In fact, they had quite a few of those plugged into like little 15 or 17-inch flat screen monitors. In fact, I don't think in the whole place I saw a CRT TV or monitor, which is hugely disappointing when it comes to retro gaming, because every single game I played, apart from what was on a MAME arcade machine, looked awful. Well, I'm sure, as you all know, if you try and run a console, an older console, into an LCD TV, unless you've got some kind of scanline converter, the picture often looks quite poor, even on a good television. But these were low-grade TVs and low-grade monitors, and it really spoilt the experience. And in fact, the whole ambiance of the place was not something that particularly interested me. Maybe it was something that would attract most gamers, being kind of a bit dark and dingy, it literally being underground as it was in a basement. Seems like quite a cool setting, but I would have much preferred the games to be displayed in somewhere like the board game lounge, somewhere a bit open, a bit lighter, a bit airier. Obviously, I'm sure it would cost a lot more money to rent somewhere like that. But if it were me doing it, and if I had the money to do something like that, I mean, cost is obviously a big factor. I would like to showcase the games as if they are something to be adored. I mean, when you go into the board game cafe, they had lots of board games for sale, and then they had a couple of areas with all of the board games displayed. They had a lot of very enthusiastic people in there wanting to get you to play the games. It was such a different experience. So having something like that for retro gaming, bring the people in, get them to sit in comfortable chairs, enthusiastic people, showing them what the key titles are on the systems. And I think you'd be able to, and I would really hope that you'd be able to show non-gamers the beauty of what the best that gaming has to offer. And it would have been nice to go somewhere like that. I don't know, maybe there is somewhere like that in your area. Because I don't know about you guys, but I often find that talking to people about retro gaming or the collecting or just gaming in general is a little bit shameful at times, or at least I've come across people who make me feel that way by, well, you're 43 years old, really? Video games? Collecting video games? Being this passionate about video games? Surely they're just something for kids, you know? And obviously I kind of expect that from people who are of an older generation to me, because they didn't grow up with video games, but I still experience it from a lot of people who are of the same generation as me. Maybe they grew up with games being around, but they didn't enjoy playing them. Whereas I think younger generations, well, no, I've met some of them who still think it's a bit weird. Some of the students that I've taught in the past, especially when I was in the UAE, they're like, you don't have kids and you like playing video games? You know, I think they didn't take me too seriously as an adult or a human being for that matter. But, you know, each to their own. But what I'm trying to say is I think there's a lot of value in video gaming, of retro gaming in particular, as an art form, and I would like to see it given that kind of treatment, you know. I've been to a couple of exhibitions that have shown off video games, and they've been quite good, but you want to get hands-on, you want to play them, you want to, it's a medium that is not there just to be viewed. As much as interesting as the hardware can be to look at and the games are interesting to watch, it's only when you've got hands-on and you're playing it that you really experience the beauty of video gaming. Okay, well, I've waffled on for a long time there, giving you reasons why I haven't been making videos. But yeah, that's basically been it. Going on a road trip, having a friend come to visit, and then being a bit lazy for the last few days as well, and kind of getting out of the swing of things. And obviously here I am getting back into it. Now, one of the other things, the road trip wasn't just a trip to Lincolnshire. We went to visit my parents on the way in Hertfordshire, and my storage unit is up that way. So, as I said in my last video, I couldn't find my Wii U, I couldn't find my PlayStation headset, and more importantly, the games that I want, well, the one game in particular that is going to be the focus of episode 7 of Gamer's Living Room. Well, as you can probably see behind me, Well, yeah, there's the Wii U controller, the headset's next to it. So after much digging around, and the box was right at the back of the storage unit, I found what I was looking for. So I've got no more excuses, well, no real valid excuses for not making episode 7. I've already done a bit of a test trying to shoot in the living room here. Unfortunately, it's so small that it's really difficult to get the camera, the lights, and get the kind of shots that I want. So I'm going to try it again, see if I can get the episode to work down there. If not, I'm going to have to shoot it up here. I mean, the living room in the name Gamer's Living Room is more metaphorical. It's not about gaming particularly in the living room. It's more the bringing people together in a space where they can play together was what I was kind of going for with the name, which is why it's Gamers with an apostrophe, not just one Gamer's Living Room. But that's something that will be coming up soon. So we've got that video to come for sure in the near future. There are other videos coming as well. I mentioned in my last video that I've already made one that's about the new mouse that I've bought. Well, I'm going to be releasing that when I've made the one about my new headset, which I have to say is absolutely fantastic, very expensive, but a great new gaming headset that I've picked up. So I'll be doing a review about both, well, adding the review about the headset and then uploading both of those. I also managed to pick up, while I was in Lincolnshire, I picked up a Gear VR. Not because I've got a Samsung phone that I can use it with, but because I wanted the lenses out of it to put into my Vive Pro to do a lens swap, because a lot of people who've done this have actually reported that the image quality greatly improved. So I want to try that. So there'll be for sure a video about that coming up in the next 2 to 3 weeks, I guess, when I finally get round to doing the modifications, because I've got to order the lens adapters, little plastic rings that fit around the new lenses, so they'll fit into the Vive or Vive Pro, although my Vive is currently broken. In fact, I'm quite serious about getting rid of the Vive Pro, because for the amount I could sell it for on eBay and then buy a second-hand just Vive headset to replace my broken one, I reckon I could probably come away with about £400 out of that kind of trade. And I can't really justify owning a Vive Pro in the current state or position I'm in at the moment, not having a full-time job. In fact, there are quite a few things that I'm going to be selling. I mentioned as well in my last video about cutting down the collection. So in April, eBay are having auctions for free. And so I will be listing a lot of games. And also I've decided that the Mac Pro is going to have to go. I didn't really mean to rhyme there, but it's another cost that I can't really afford to bear, when I think I could probably sell that for around about £800. I can't really justify having a PC or a computer purely for video editing. So what I've done, and this will be the first video that I'm making this big change, but I'm switching over to Windows. I'm switching to DaVinci Resolve 15. I've had a little bit of play around with it. I've in fact shot this entire video once already and wasn't that happy with it, but it was a good test to get to learn a little bit about DaVinci Resolve. It's fairly similar to Final Cut 10, but there are some significant changes in the way in which the timeline is edited that I'm finding it a little bit difficult to get the hang of, but you know, it's free, so I can't really complain at that. And if I want a pro version of it, it's only going to cost £240, which is a lot nicer than switching to Premiere Pro, which will cost about £50 per month, because you can only subscribe to it now. You can't buy any of the Adobe suite individually. You have to either, well, I think you can subscribe to purely Premiere for about £20 a month, but if you want all of the other things, I mean, a comparison between that and DaVinci Resolve has got a lot of features for audio, the world's best color grading software. It's got special effects software built in. To get all of that from Adobe, the Adobe suite, would be about £50 a month. So yeah, that's a crazy cost, and I can't really stretch to that. So free DaVinci Resolve editing on my gaming PC is what I'm going to be doing from now on, I think, until a time in the future. Maybe I'll go back to Final Cut 10 when I've got a job, or I've got a bit more money to justify buying a new Mac to edit on. So yes, that's quite a big change when I think about it. Every video on this channel up until this one has been edited on some form of Apple computer, starting with I think I started on an old MacBook for the first episode, then very quickly after that got a Mac Mini and switched from iMovie to Final Cut Express, and then not so long after that I got an iMac, 27-inch iMac, and Final Cut 10, which I've used for the vast majority of my videos. And I have to say, I really like Final Cut 10. It's a great piece of software. Well, it's grown. It started off having lots of problems with it, a lot of people hating on it, but I think it's grown into a fantastic piece of software. But you have to pay the Apple tax, and to get a new Apple computer that would be on par with my gaming PC would cost me a lot of money. So as I said, I can sell the Mac Pro for about £800, so I think that is going to have to go on eBay as well, along with quite a few other bits. So yes, so a lot of stuff coming up, a lot of changes happening. But I have been doing a little bit of gaming recently. Not a great deal of, obviously, as I was away for a little while, I couldn't do any PC gaming, but since being back for the last few days, I've obviously played a bit of this.
Down. Recharging my shields.
Reloading.
Yeah, there's another team around here.
Eyes are open though.
10 seconds. The ring is fairly. Reloading. I killed an enemy.
Hostile right here. Good kill. Frag out.
Yes, of course, that is Apex Legends, and I'm still having a great time playing it. And one of the reasons I wanted to play a bit more of it this week was because they've just released their season pass, their first season pass, which brings in a new character called Octane, who has the ability to run faster than the other characters for a short period of time by using a stim injection that sacrifices a bit of health for a boost of speed. He can also throw down jump pads that can allow him to boost up, or anybody in the team, or even the enemies, to boost, to jump higher and further, maybe to get into a position on top of a building to flank the enemies, for example. So a really, really different character to the other ones that have been in it, and a welcome addition to the game. The rest of the season pass is just more levels of grinding to get cosmetic items. Not really something that I'm that interested in, and I wouldn't have bought the season pass if it weren't for the fact that I already had 1,000 of the Apex credits in my account from the fact that I'm a member of the Origin subscription service, and for all members, to introduce them to the game, they gave them a free 1,000 credits, and the season pass is 950 credits. And the interesting way in which it's structured is you've got 90 days to complete all 100 levels, but in that time, if you manage to do that, you earn back enough credits to then buy the next season pass. So at the moment, I've played for 5 days and I'm already on level 12 or level 13, so I'm on track for earning back those credits. So we shall see. Maybe my love for the game will die out within this next couple of months, but I don't know. I'm still having a blast. The other game that I played quite a bit of while I was traveling on the road, well, I wouldn't say I played a lot of it. That would be dishonest to claim that, but I played some of this. Yes, you've seen this before from me. FTL. It's a game that I just keep coming back to time and time again. I just don't seem to get bored of it. And the last time I was playing it, I was thinking to myself, what is it about this game that even though it's the same game every time you, well, it's a lot of the same elements every time you play through it, kind of jumbled and mixed up. So every time you play it, it is essentially unique, the playthrough, because the galaxies or the systems are different, the order of where the planets are, but you do get to see the same sorts of events time and time again. So I don't think I've seen anything new in the game for quite a long time. Maybe there are still some bits that I haven't seen, but what has really made it interesting for me this time is playing it on just the normal difficulty level, because all the times before I played it on easy because I just got so frustrated to begin with playing it on normal level that I couldn't get more than a couple of levels into it, and got nowhere near the end. So I played it on easy, and even then that presented quite a bit of a challenge. I certainly didn't beat it every time I played it. But since getting my new iPad Pro, I've had to reinstall the game and start right back from the beginning again, which is a little bit annoying because I'd unlocked all of the spaceships and all of the different variants of them. But I'm really enjoying the challenge of playing on normal level, because I've really had to rethink my strategies rather than just spending most of the credits I've got on getting the best weapons and kind of forcing my way through the game in that way. I've had to build or kit out my ship in such a way that it's more versatile, that I can switch systems on and off on the fly depending on how the enemies are responding to me and what they've got. Just having really good guns doesn't get you through on normal level. So it's like I'm learning how to play the game again and really enjoying it. But that's really all the gaming I've been doing. Now, there's obviously quite a bit that I do want to do in the near future. I've got the Wii U back in my hands, and that means I can complete Breath of the Wild. I really want to go back to it. Some of you might remember that I talked about it before, and that it was actually Horizon Zero Dawn that interrupted me playing Breath of the Wild. My friend, who I spoke about earlier, gave that game to me. Well, he didn't give it to me, he lent it to me because he said he didn't really like it that much, but he said it's something you might enjoy. I absolutely loved it, and since then, I couldn't put the game down, so I didn't go back to Breath of the Wild, then forgot about Breath of the Wild, and I think I need to go back and give it a bit more of a playthrough, even though the kind of aesthetic, the very Nintendo-y look to it and feel is not something that is to my taste. But a lot of the systems in the game seemed really interesting, and if I can kind of plow through and kind of ignore the look of it and just go for the systems within the game and and the gameplay, I think I'm going to get a lot out of it. So that's on my list. But also, as I said, Horizon Zero Dawn, I've borrowed that off my friend again because I really want to play the DLC. So I'm not sure whether, depending on the cost, it might be almost as cheap for me to go and buy the Game of the Year edition that includes the DLC as it is to just buy the DLC. If there's a big difference in price, then I'll just continue borrowing my friend's copy of it and buy the DLC and play that. If it's not, then I'll go out and buy the Game of the Year edition. Either way, I want to play through the Frozen Wilds DLC. Whether I do that before or after completing Breath of the Wild, I'm not sure yet. So those are two things that are on my radar for sure. Aside from that, I think I want to get back into doing a bit of retro gaming. I don't have a lot of excuses because I've got the systems here. I've just got to hook them up really. And it's a shame I don't have a CRT TV to hook them up to, but I think I'll wait. I do want to get one, but I'll wait until I've moved into my own home and I know how much space I've actually got, because here I think I've got a lot more space than I will have in my actual, what will eventually be my home. I think I mentioned in a previous video that my wife had been kind enough to let me have the biggest room in the house for all of my games, and really so I could play VR, because you need quite a bit of space for room scale VR. And that as well, yeah, there are a lot of new VR titles coming out, so yeah, there's a lot of gaming to be done. I need to move away from Apex Legends. It's just such an enjoyable, well, at least for me, it's such an enjoyable game that, yeah, it's stopping me playing other things. Well, I think that's just about enough for one vlog for today. Thank you so much for watching if you've managed to reach this far into the video. From my games room to wherever you are, this is Psiman signing off. Bye-bye.